My people, this one is truly heartbreaking. The kind of news that makes you stop for a moment and just think, what exactly is happening in this country? How did we get here again? Please, before we continue, make sure you like this video and subscribe to the channel. It really helps us grow and keeps you updated on real stories happening across Nigeria. So, this report from Kogi State, specifically Yagba West, has been shaking the internet since morning. The story says a group of armed men, heavily armed, invaded some communities in Yagba West. They reportedly went house to house, causing panic, destruction, and sadly, the death of about 27 people. It's one of those stories that make your chest heavy. Because these are ordinary people, fathers, mothers, children, just trying to live their daily lives. The attack reportedly happened in the late hours of the night. Many people were said to be sleeping when the sound of gunfire started. Imagine that kind of fear. People waking up to confusion, not knowing where to run. Those who managed to escape said it was like something out of a nightmare. Total chaos, total fear. Now, local residents are saying that this is not the first time such attacks have happened in that axis. There have been previous incidents, kidnappings, armed robbery, and other forms of insecurity. But this one, according to those who witnessed it, was more coordinated and more brutal than before. Some people said they even recognized a few of the attackers as part of the same group that had been terrorizing nearby communities in recent weeks. As we speak, many families are displaced. Some ran to nearby towns for safety. Others are still missing. Villages that used to be peaceful and lively have suddenly gone quiet. It's hard to even imagine the trauma people there are going through right now. Please, if you're watching this video, take a moment to like it and subscribe to the channel for more updates. We tell these stories because every single life matters, and people deserve to know what's really going on. Now, there's also talk about how security agents arrived after the attack, but as usual, it was too late. By the time reinforcement came, the bandits had already fled. People are now calling for stronger presence of security forces in Yagba West. Some residents are even saying they need proper checkpoints, patrols, and quick response units that can move fast whenever there's a report of suspicious movement. And this brings us to the bigger question: why are these attacks still happening? Nigeria is blessed with everything we need to secure ourselves. We have the military, the police, and different security outfits. But still, these bandits continue to operate, sometimes with boldness that shocks everyone. It's like they already know nobody will stop them in time. Some people are blaming lack of intelligence gathering. Others are saying maybe there are insiders giving information to these attackers. Whatever the reason, one thing is clear: communities in Kogi, especially around Yagba West, are living in fear right now. The saddest part? This attack is not even the first major one this year. It's part of a long chain of violent incidents that keep repeating. Only the names of the towns change. It used to be Kaduna, then Zamfara, Niger, Plateau, and now Kogi is joining that list again. People are beginning to ask, are we safe anywhere at all? If you're watching this, I want to know what you think. Drop a comment below. What do you believe government can do differently to end this cycle of violence? And don't forget, like this video and subscribe if you haven't yet. It keeps our community strong and lets us keep reporting these stories truthfully. Eyewitnesses from Yagba West said many houses were burnt, properties worth millions destroyed. Some local leaders are even saying that people might not return home soon because of fear. Imagine losing everything overnight. Imagine not knowing whether you can sleep safely again. Meanwhile, local authorities have been under pressure to give an official statement. Some reports even said the council chairman has come out to deny that 27 people were killed. According to him, the reports were exaggerated, and investigations are still ongoing. But residents are insisting that something terrible really happened. So now, it's a battle between official denial and community pain. This kind of situation is common in Nigeria, where people on the ground tell one story, but officials say something else. Sometimes it's because they don't want panic. Other times, it's because they're still waiting for confirmation. But while all that is happening, ordinary people are suffering the real consequences. My people, this is exactly why we say our leaders must take security as the #1 priority. People are tired. Every time you hear of a new attack, it's the same message: condolences, promises, and silence after a few weeks. The pattern has become too familiar. We can't continue like this. So, as we're talking about Yagba West today, remember it's not just about one community. It's a symbol of what's happening across Nigeria. People deserve to feel safe in their homes. Children should be able to go to school without fear. Farmers should be able to work their land without watching the road every minute. And please, while you're watching, like this video and subscribe. That's how we keep spreading awareness and holding leaders accountable. The more people hear these stories, the harder it becomes for anyone to ignore what's happening. Now, beyond the sadness, there's also the question of what happens next. How do we rebuild Yagba West? How do we help those families who just lost everything? These are people who need immediate assistance, food, shelter, medical help, and psychological support. Many survivors are traumatized. If humanitarian groups, churches, or community organizations step in quickly, it can help bring some relief. Even ordinary Nigerians can help sometimes by donating, sometimes just by raising awareness. We can all do something. But again, we can't solve what we refuse to confront. That's why we're talking about this tonight, because we must keep the conversation alive until we see real change. And let's also not forget, insecurity doesn't only destroy lives, it also destroys local economies. Once a town becomes unsafe, businesses close, schools shut down, and young people move away. That's how poverty grows. It's a cycle that keeps repeating itself if nothing changes. So, I want you to think about this. If insecurity continues unchecked, how many communities like Yagba West will still exist 5 years from now? What happens to the farmers, traders, and students there? That's why we all have a role to play, both the government and the citizens. Please, like this video if you believe Nigeria can still get it right, and subscribe if you want to stand with us as we keep sharing these real stories. After the Yagba West attack, tension has spread, not just within Kogi, but even to neighboring states. People in nearby communities like Mopamuro and Isanlu are said to be living in fear, worried that the attackers might strike again. This fear is real because, in the past, after one village was attacked, nearby areas also faced similar incidents within days. So, everyone is alert, people are locking up early, and some have even moved to stay with relatives elsewhere until things calm down. You know, one of the saddest parts of this whole story is how fast insecurity spreads. It's like when one area is hit, others nearby start living with anxiety. People are calling for joint security operations, not just for one local government, but across the entire Kogi West Senatorial District. They believe that only a united security effort can stop these criminals from moving freely from one area to another. Now, local hunters and vigilantes are also said to be part of the rescue and defense efforts. Some of them risked their lives trying to stop the attackers that night. These community defenders are truly brave, but they are also poorly equipped. They mostly rely on traditional weapons, cutlasses, Dane guns, and sometimes even just whistles to face attackers who come with sophisticated guns. You can already imagine how difficult that battle is. And this brings another big issue: support for local security networks. People are asking why local vigilantes who know the terrain are not being properly trained and equipped. Because if they had more support, maybe these bandits wouldn't have so much freedom to operate. Please, if you're watching now, take a second to like this video and subscribe. Your engagement helps spread this story, and it also supports our work to keep sharing real, honest updates about what's happening in Nigeria. Now, let's talk about how government officials are reacting. As usual, statements have started coming in. Politicians are condemning the attack, promising to bring the perpetrators to justice. The state government says it's working with security agencies to restore calm. But the truth is, people have heard these same promises before. Nigerians are starting to ask for visible results, not just words. There's frustration because it always feels like the same cycle. An attack happens, people mourn, leaders condemn, and then everyone moves on until the next one happens. But this time, residents of Yagba West say they don't want that same routine. They want follow-through, real arrests, real justice, and permanent security presence in their communities. One community leader was quoted saying something that really struck me. He said, "We can rebuild our houses, but can we rebuild our peace?" That line says a lot. Peace is what people truly need. Once peace is gone, nothing else feels safe anymore. Let's also touch on the economic side. Yagba West is largely an agrarian area, meaning most of the people there are farmers. They depend on farming for food and income. But now, many have abandoned their farms out of fear. That means food shortages could soon follow. Not just for them, but even for nearby communities that depend on their produce. This is how insecurity creates hunger and economic hardship silently, but steadily. And you see, this is why many Nigerians are now calling for more modern approaches to security. Things like using technology drones for surveillance, better intelligence gathering, and collaboration between the police and the military. Because what's happening now shows that traditional responses are no longer enough. Some people even believe that local youth empowerment can help reduce crime. If young men have jobs or proper training, it becomes harder for criminal groups to recruit them. But if there's no opportunity, then the cycle continues, poverty leading to violence, and violence deepening poverty. Please, if you haven't liked this video yet, pause for a moment and click that like button. It's free, and it helps this story reach more people who need to hear it. And don't forget to subscribe, so you never miss updates like this one. Now, another thing many Nigerians are talking about is how insecurity has shifted from one part of the country to another. Before, we used to hear mostly about attacks in the northwest, Zamfara, Katsina, and Kaduna. But now, it's spreading into areas that were once considered relatively safe, like Kogi, Kwara, and even parts of the south. That's what makes people uneasy. It feels like no place is completely safe anymore. And you can sense the pain in the voices of residents who keep saying, "We used to sleep with our doors open, now we can't even sit outside after 7 p.m. That's not the Nigeria anyone wants. We're a people who love peace, family, and community, but insecurity is breaking that spirit in many places. At this point, community leaders and religious groups are also stepping in. Churches and mosques are holding prayers, asking for divine protection and for the government to take decisive action. Faith has become one of the few sources of strength people still have, especially in rural areas, where they feel forgotten. Meanwhile, displaced people from Yagba West are seeking refuge in nearby towns. Some are staying with friends and relatives, others are in temporary shelters. There are reports that humanitarian organizations are planning to visit to provide relief items like food and clothing. But we know that aid alone cannot replace what was lost. Many survivors have lost not just property but loved ones, and that pain doesn't go away easily. If you're just joining us, please don't forget to like this video and subscribe to the channel. We're sharing this story not just as news but as a wake-up call for everyone, leaders and citizens alike, that security must be everyone's concern. Now, many viewers have been asking in the comments, why do these bandits keep succeeding? It's a difficult question, but one answer is poor coordination among security agencies. Sometimes there are reports that security alerts were given, but response came too late. Other times, communication gaps make it hard for backup to arrive quickly. That's why many people are calling for a unified command system where information flows fast and response is immediate. The people of Yagba West also want compensation and reconstruction support. Their schools and clinics were damaged, markets were burnt. For them, rebuilding will take a long time. And without proper help, recovery might be impossible. That's why humanitarian groups and well-meaning individuals are being urged to step in. And another issue being raised is the mental toll. People who survived that night are now living with trauma. Children are having nightmares. Women are scared to sleep alone. These are the parts of insecurity that we don't always talk about, the emotional wounds that remain long after the gunfire stops. Please, show your support by liking this video and subscribing. Every like and subscription pushes this story further so more people can be aware and speak out.